So you're all very welcome to our advisor webinar. This is just an introductory webinar. I know there's letters going out to farmers in the last while, and there's a lot of confusion about what's happening, what your role is going to be as advisors in the cooperation areas. So we just have a few slides where there's a lot of information, so we're going to keep it brief today. And we will have another webinar at the end of April to kind of go into the scorecards and the non-productive investments in a bit more detail. So what I would ask you to do is, after this webinar and in the coming weeks, if there's a topic or something that you would like covered in our next webinar, to just send us an email on that, so that we make sure that we're covering stuff that you need the answers to and that's relevant to you guys. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Mary McAndrew and I'm the project manager for Acres West Connacht. We have 9 project officers working with us who are in each of the local areas. We also have a project ecologist. We have 8 Commonage surveyors starting with us, and we hope to have 6 bursary students starting in the summer too. So we are going to have quite a large team midsummer out and about scoring and working with you guys and the farmers. So the way this morning's webinar is going to run is we are going to go through just Acres West Connacht, the areas that we're covering, the role of ourselves, the role of the advisor. We have Aoife Murphy and Daniel Conway, who are both project officers with the team. Aoife is going to talk you through the scorecards. We've picked out just the main Grassland, the Peatland scorecard, and we're just going to go through that in a little bit of detail, the areas that are in it. The scorecards are with the designer at the minute, so they should be available in the coming couple of months to you guys on the department website. And Daniel is going to go through a little bit on the non-productive investments and the landscape actions. We will also, at the end, you can pop any questions you have into the Q&A box. Sarah, who is our project administrator, is going to be taking note of all of those questions. We will try and get through a few of them at the end of this webinar. And what we'll do is we'll compile them all together, and we'll circulate them to you with answers in the next couple of days as well. And again, they will be available on our website under the advisor tab in the next week or so. So we're just going to get started now. So as you're all aware, Acres is the new agri-environmental rural scheme. There's 2 streams to it. There's a general approach, which is available in all areas, and that's a mix of results-based and prescriptive measures. And the cooperation areas, which is the area that we're working in, is available in 8 priority areas, and that's predominantly a results-based programme, and farmers and advisors will be supported by ourselves within that. So the area that we're covering in West Connacht is we've Northwest Connacht and we've South Mayo and Connemara. And for ease of management, we've split those areas up into 6 more local areas. And we have a project officer in each of those areas who will be liaising with you guys and the farmers in those areas. So if there's any issues, if you want support with non-productive investments, if you need advice, if you want assistance with training events, anything like that, the project officers are there to help you guys and the farmers. So that's the 6 local areas that we're working within. So the benefits of working within a cooperation model. We have worked in the freshwater pearl mussel previously for the last 5 years, and so we do know the benefits of results-based programs and how they work and how the farmers interact with them. And it's supporting farmers, and one of the things that farmers respond really well to is having someone there that they can contact and they know is available to answer their questions and queries. The farmers and advisors will be able to avail of specialist support and training. So, for example, with some of the non-productive investments like invasive species control or re-wetting, there might be a training element to those. So we will be there to help you and provide support for that. As you all know from working in the industry for a long time, not one, a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work to these things. You need local solutions to local problems. And again, farmers really respond to that. So again, that's where our role is going to come in, is to be able to provide local advice. As I said, the project officers are going to be local to these areas, so they're going to be aware of the issues and problems that are in these areas and be able to offer support and solutions. It's an opportunity for farmers to contribute to improving the local environment. It rewards and incentivises the delivery of positive environmental outcomes. There's 3,500 per year for non-productive investments and landscape actions. and there's a potential of 7,000 per year in results-based payments. I suppose with the 7,000 per year, it's just important that farmers realise that because it's a per hectare payment, you know, they will be limited by the number of hectares that they have on their base. So like I've been getting phone calls in the last couple of days that farmers have got letters about their acceptance of the scheme and, you know, their ring fencing, that it's different to the neighbours, and even though they're farming the same way. So it's just about managing their expectations in terms of how much of that 7,000 they can potentially get. So they could have everything perfect on the farm, but the number of hectares that they have in BIS will also determine how much of that 7,000 will be available in a results-based payment. So just about managing those expectations for them. So the way the overall payment structure of the cooperation area works is the total available to farmers over 5 years is 52,000. The results-based payment, as I said, there's a maximum of 7,000, and then the actions, which Daniel will talk to you about shortly, can bring the farmer up to a potential of 7 or 10,500 per year. And there's flexibility within those actions to allow for front loading if they wish to kind of get a few actions done, so that they can bring that 3,500 forward from year 2 to year 1 if they wanted to get a few different things done in one time. So with the results-based payments, I'm sure you're all well aware from REAP and other EIPs that you would be involved in, that the whole premise of results-based payments is basically the higher the habitat quality, the higher the payment will be. So there's a score of 0 to 10, with scores of less than 4 not receiving a payment. All the land will be scored in year 1, 3 and 5. And the scorecards, which we'll go through in a few minutes with you, there's 10 scorecards available for farmers to for the advisors to score the plots with. So you can kind of see there, and these are available on the department website, the payment rates per score. And obviously we want to get the farmers as much of that as possible. So what results-based payments, all we're saying to farmers is they know the value of the stock that they're bringing to the market, they know what they're producing on the farm, and all we're doing with results-based is we're putting a value on the habitats that they have on the farm too, so that when they make management decisions, they're aware of the impact it will have on their payment. So it's not about telling them that they can do this and they can't do that. It's about them realizing, okay, well, if I do this, this is where it will affect me on the scorecard. And if that's more important to them than the score or the payment that they're getting from acres, then that's perfectly fine. Now, just to be aware with that, that they do have to maintain a minimum level of scoring through the 5 years in order to maintain their payments, but you will see that in the terms and conditions. But it's just about giving them a little bit more control in the decision making on their farm, and having that kind of regular contact with yourselves and with the project officers. So we will be providing farmer training and information days. So you guys are going to be the ones who will be training all of your acres clients, probably most likely at the back end of the year. We will be offering information days during the summer. So these are voluntary, the farmers aren't obliged to attend them. We would recommend they attend them just to kind of meet the project officers. We'll be going through the scorecards with them. We'll be going through exactly what you guys will be doing when you're out scoring the land, and we'll be providing them with advice on NPIs and all of that, so that that will help them make decisions for September. The farmer training, as I mentioned earlier, will be a little bit more specialised in terms of it will be targeted towards issues that are in a certain area and focused on specific training such as invasive species control. So we will be sending out a letter to the farmers in the next week or so, just introducing ourselves and welcoming them to the West Connacht cooperation area. We will have a list of training information days that are available in May and June for them to attend. As I said, it will state on the letter it's voluntary and there's no payment for this, but we would encourage them to attend. There'll also be a leaflet with it, which kind of explains results-based payments and how the scheme will work over the next 5 years, just to kind of ease their mind, because I know there's a lot of uncertainty with them at the moment. So for you guys, your role within the cooperation areas specifically is you will be scoring all of the private land within the cooperation areas. So this means even if a farmer has enough commonage within the cooperation area that you think he will be getting the 7,000 just from that, all his private land that's within the cooperation area will still need to be scored. You'll discuss the scores and the potential MPIs and landscape actions with the farmers, and provide management advice to help improve the scoring. So on the app, it'll be AgriSnap that will be used. So on that app, there will be a feature at the bottom of it where you can select management advice when you're in the field. So it might be continue current management of site, or it could be invasive species control, or drinkers required, something like that. So you'll be able to tick those boxes when you're in the field to help you remember exactly, because you're not going to remember in September when you're chatting to a farmer what you scored in June. So just that you will have that handy kind of list available to you as well. And then the submission of MPIs. So that feature will hopefully be opened in September for you guys to submit MPIs. The landscape actions, they will be more the project team that will be driving those, because they will most likely be larger scale actions like Commonage governance, or if there was a water quality issue on a farm that needed a little bit more input and specialist advice and training from the project team. So you might have an issue on a farm and the project officer will liaise with you and the farmer to come up with the best solution for that, but it will be the project team that will be driving the landscape actions and submitting those, and you guys will be submitting the MPIs. But you will be kept in the loop with any submissions we do for your farmers. You'll be kept in discussion, included in the discussions and all of that as well. So this is just based on the information that we have from the department. Just to give you an idea, we have 171 of you advisors that we're going to be working with in our 6 local areas. And just kind of give you an idea of the number of farmers per advisor. So nearly 90% of the farmers within our area, or the advisors within our area, have between 1 to 10 clients that they're going to be working with within the cooperation area. And then we have about, I think, 20% of the farmers that or the advisors that will have over 100 clients within the area. So I suppose just to kind of focus your mind, you guys know the clients that you have, just making sure that you're planning for the scoring. We will be having advisor field training from the 23rd of May, from that week in May to the 2nd week in June. So there'll be a range of dates given to you that you can select from. I know a lot of you will probably still be involved in BIS in those last 2 weeks in May, but we have got requests from advisors that they would like training a bit earlier because they want to be out the 1st of June, and that's perfectly fine. So there'll be a range of dates offered. You can select the one that suits you best. If the ones that we offer don't suit you, you will have the opportunity to attend training with one of the other cooperation project teams as well. It will all be the same training, so you'll be covered either way. So you will have a lot of dates to select from. So hopefully some of them will suit you. And if they don't, make sure you contact us and we can put on an extra couple of dates late in June or something if necessary. So the role of ourselves then, I suppose you're kind of wondering what we're doing. We're going to be providing local advice and support to you guys and to the farmers. We're going to be training the farmers and yourselves. We have this webinar today. We will have another one at the end of April. As I said, we will have our field training days. If there's any other supports or trainings that you feel necessary, do let us know. We have our farmer information events in the summer. We're also going to organise a webinar for yourselves and the farmers in September, just to kind of go through in a little bit more detail and focus more on the non-productive investments. You'll all have a better idea, the farmers and yourselves, once scoring is done, exactly what the issues are. So we can kind of do a little refresher on that. When you guys are doing your farmer training towards the end of the year, if you want, the project officers will be available to attend and speak on the cooperation zones for you, or offer any help with the training in any way. That's no issue. So do make sure you contact us if you do want that assistance or you want us to speak at those events. There's no issue there. We'll also be scoring all of the Commonages, providing guidance and screening on non-productive investments. So we'll be providing guidance on them, and we'll also be screening them once they're submitted and approving them. With the Commonages, I think I have a slide now on that. So yeah, so we're going to be scoring anything over 10 hectares. There's no fees to the farmer for this, so you can reassure your farmers that they don't have to pay us. They've asked me a lot that in the last couple of weeks. So the only fee that the farmer has is to yourselves. The farmers don't have to pay us. The commonages less than 10 hectares will require a commonage management plan to be completed by the advisor. So when we are plotting and planning our commonage surveying, if there's commonages that are less than 10 hectares that are contiguous to the larger commonages, we will score those, because we're not going to walk through that section of a commonage to score the other commonage. So we will select those ones that we will score. So when we've done that, the department will then contact you guys with the list of remaining commonages that may need a commonage management plan. So we hope to have that done in the coming months, and you'll be obviously notified by the department of any that you will have to work with. So we will then engage with the farmers on the commonages to select appropriate landscape actions. So we will score the commonages, then we will contact the shareholders, we will go through the scoring, we will give them recommendations on what is the best course of action to help improve the score. But it will be entirely up to the shareholders themselves to engage first of all and to drive it forward. So I know there's a lot of issues on a lot of commonages, and we won't know until we get out there and start talking to people exactly what they are or how much farmers want to be involved. But it has to be them that leads it. And I suppose that's an important message for you guys to kind of bring back to them as well, is that it's going to be up to them to drive it. We won't be telling them what to do. We will give them recommendations based on the scoring. We can give them advice, but it's up to them to engage and drive these things forward. We don't want to go down the route of kind of dictating to them. So we want them to engage, and it's their commonages, and we want them to improve, but also to maintain that approval. So, you know, that won't happen if they're not interested in it. So engagement with them is important. And that's what we want from them. So I suppose that's the biggest message. We won't be making them do anything. It'll be up to them to engage and kind of push it forward with us. So this is just kind of a handy little graphic of the kind of timeline for how things will work. Now, obviously, this is the first year of the scheme. We're still getting all the processes in place, but we would hope that this will how it run, you know, given a month or two. So the farmers have been notified into the scheme at the minute. We will be holding webinars for you guys this month and next month. The commonages, so we have our 8 commonage surveyors in place. They're being trained at the minute. So we hope to have them out from mid-April onwards. We won't be able to ring every single shareholder to notify them that we're going to be on the commonages. So we will most likely send a text message to each of the farmers just to let them know that there's surveying happening in their area. All of the surveyors will have photo ID. They will also have high vises with our logo on them so that farmers know exactly who they are. We'll also make sure that their vehicles have letters in them letting them know that they're surveying. So they will be aware of exactly where we are and who we are. So just to ease the farmer's mind on that. The advisor field training will be happening for May and June, as will the farmer information events. As I said, these are voluntary events that the farmers can attend if they wish, and we would recommend that they do. We will be scoring the commonages from April until most likely September. You guys will be scoring all the private land from June till August. Then there'll be an opportunity to select MPIs or landscape actions. We will approve them October, November, and then there will be hopefully payments in early December, we would hope, to all of the farmers. So that's kind of just a brief outline of how the year will flow, just to kind of, so you guys know exactly where the focus will be and kind of how it will, how the year will roll out. So hopefully that kind of helps a little bit. So for yourselves with supports, we obviously will have the webinars, we'll have the field-based training. There's guidance being developed at the minute for completion of scorecards. So there's a huge document on exactly how to handle all of the different situations in each of the scorecards, your workflow, best management guidance, and obviously the project officers are there to support you and help you. So if you need help or you're not sure of something, do let us know. You know, we can go out for a day in the field with you to kind of work through the scorecards with you. If you need that extra support, there's no issue there. So we're here to support you guys. So whatever you need in terms of training, you let us know if you feel like we're not providing enough, or if there's a certain angle that you'd like covered for your area, just make sure that you let us know. So I'm going to hand over to Aoife now, and she's going to talk you through the scorecards.
Hi all, so I'm Aoife Murphy and I'm Project Officer for the Cork Mask area. So I'm just going to quickly run through the different types of scorecards and look at the Grassland and the Peatland scorecard with you today. So we have 10 different types of scorecards in the CP zones. So there are 3 core scorecards, and those are the Peatland, Grassland and Woodland scorecards. We have other scorecards that are used as they are relevant. So that is the coastal, the Chuff, Corn Creek, breeding water and the rough grazing scorecards. And there is also the burn winterage scorecard, but that is only used in the burn. So you might be wondering, why are the scorecards important and why are we using them? So the scorecards determine the quality score of the land, and that in its own way determines the payment that the farmers are going to receive. The scorecards help us to identify where actions are needed and which actions would provide the most environmental benefit and where they would do this. So the project team will delineate and assign all the scorecards, and these will be available to you on the AgriSnap app, which I'm sure most of you are already familiar with from RE. So the Grassland scorecard is divided into 2 different sections. So section A looks at the indicators of ecological integrity. So this looks at the number of selected positive indicator plants. It looks at the cover of these plants and the cover of negative indicators or agriculturally favoured weeds. So that would be the likes of perennial ryegrass, stocks and nettles. And it also looks at the vegetation structure. Section B looks at the threats and pressures which are facing the grassland. So this will be damaging activities like dumping, burning and supplementary feeding, any risk to the quality of natural water bodies, so like risk in terms of sediment entering it, something tampering with the flow of the water and excess of nutrients entering it. It'll look at the extent of bare soil present, the cover of invasive species like Japanese knotweed and rhododendron, the spreading of immature scrub and the cover of bracken. So here we have 2 low quality grasslands. So on the one on your right, you can see there in the picture, it's very monocultural. It has just been reseeded and it's just full of perennial ryegrass. So with perennial ryegrass being a negative indicator, this would obviously score fairly low. And the other picture, you can see it's been fairly well grazed. You've got your rushes there, you've got a lot of poaching, and this is providing sediment loss to the nearby stream there. So this would score low as well for this. Here we have 2 moderate quality grasslands, so they won't be scoring great either. On the one on your left, you can see it has been overgrazed. There are your nettles and your docks are coming in, and there is not much change there in vegetation structure, whereas the one on the right has just been, really, it has been abandoned and it has grown too much, so there's still no change in vegetation structure. Here we have 2 more moderate grasslands. So the one on your right is a little bit better than the last ones. You can see there is change there in vegetation structure within it, but it's a bit overgrazed. So if it was left for maybe a week or 2 to rest, then that would achieve a higher score. Whereas the one on your left it just needs to be grazed really, and it should achieve a much higher score. And here we have what our high quality grassland would look like. So you can see they're very species rich and they're very diverse. So we'll look at the peatland scorecards. So section A once again looks at the indicators of ecological integrity. So it looks at the number of selected positive indicator plants, the cover of mosses, lichens and liverworts. It looks at the cover of negative indicators like your nettles, your hogweed and your European gorse, and it looks at vegetation structure. Section B looks at the hydrological integrity and the artificial drainage features that were there, because we don't want our peatlands to be drying out too much. Section C looks at the threats and pressure the threats and future prospects. So it looks at the evidence of damaging activities like burning and the use of herbicides. It looks at the risk to the quality of natural water bodies, the extent of bare soil and erosion, the presence of non-native invasive species and their cover. It looks at turbary, and it doesn't matter how you cut your turf, it's any turf cutting. It looks at the bracken present and the spread of immature scrub across the peatland. So here we have 3 different peatlands. So on the one on the left, you can see it's low quality. It has been extensively grazed. Your invasive species are starting to come in, and there's just a lot of bare soil. The middle one is your moderate quality peatland. You can see there is some maybe millennia there, and it has been grazed somewhat, but a bit more grazing would have achieved a higher score. And the one over here on our right is a high quality, good scoring peatland with just all your vegetation structure is, you've got your different heights, you've got your different species present. And here we have 2 poor to moderate quality peatlands. So over here in the one on your left, you can see it has been extensively grazed again. There's a lot of bare soil present and not much vegetation, whereas the one on your right has just been kind of abandoned. There hasn't been much grazing or anything present. So grazing on the one on the right and less grazing on the one on the left will really improve the scores of both of these. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Daniel to talk to you.
What are you doing? As I said, my name is Daniel Conway. I'm working in the Loch on Ox Mountains catchment, the project officer, and I'll be talking to you today about the non-productive investments and the landscape actions. So what are they? Basically, is they're very simple measures, they're cost-effective and time-effective MPIs, and it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not a top-down approach, as Mary is saying. These are really bespoke, and we want to work with every farmer to both have an environmental impact, positive impact, and both help the farmer and improve the farm enterprise. The MPIs will be identified and implemented before or after the land is scored. There's a budget of 1,500 per farmer per year. And some of the examples of these are the nest protection, improvements to access, agricultural sustainability, fencing and grazing management, and there's water prevention and drinking water provision and water retention measures. So move on. The project team will have to approve all these as well once they're identified. The landscape actions, these budget of 2,000 per farmer per year. The landscape actions will be developed at a local level, informed by the objectives of the local action plan. The actions will include wildfire resilience, commonage invasive species control. There's some flexibility here with the funds, so you'll be able to move the fund between the 3,500 between the NPIs and the landscape actions. The project team will submit, screen and approve these landscape actions. So for a few of them there, the invasive species control, the wildfire resilience, hydromorphology improvement, peatland restoration, and there's many, many more that can suit every farmer. So what do they look like? So here we have one example, the timber weir. Some background here with this. It's as a result of drained peatland and grassland, the water can flow faster through the catchment, resulting in inferior water quality and higher levels of flooding. Both are serious and threats to the water quality and the aquatic species. So the objective of this, the timber weir, is to slow down the flow of the water, not to stop it, just slow it down and to capture sediment runoff. They can be used for small-scale drain blockages in peatlands where it's difficult to access the small number of drains, and it requires the use of machinery to form the peat plugs, which is impractical. They're used, the material used is marine ply or plastic. It is cut into the drain to fit the size to ensure that there's a seal formed by ensuring the width and the timber doesn't exceed the width and depth of the drain. Once the ply is cut to the correct size, there's a V-shaped notch cut into the middle of the ply to allow the water to flow through it And over time, the weir will degrade. However, in most instances, the drain will stabilize and become somewhat vegetated. And in these cases, the weirs won't need to be replaced. There's no risk to sediment runoff as the plants capture it. So next is the peat plug. Here you can see there's part of the Commonages project. It was 9-hectare plot in Donegal. That was used for sheep grazing and turf cutting. In the first year, it scored very low, turf cutting, drying out the bog, and there was less peatland plants, and the result, there was very little biodiversity within the peatland habitat. The team advised to block the drain with the peat plug, so they improved the environmental score, thus improved the payments for the farmer. So the farmer, as every farmer plans to give it on to the next generation, he wants to improve the land quality and leave it in a good condition for the next generation, also improving the environment. The peat plugs, as you can see here, they don't cause flooding. You see the level, the picture on the right afterwards, that's the level that they go to. That's just the level of the water table. There's no flooding after that. The peat plugs can also be used as a crossing for sheep, but in cases where there's cattle, you may need fencing, and then maybe timber or a concrete bridge may be used. And then on the right, we have the in-ditch wetland. So you can see here it's a very productive land, intensively grazed on the right, fertilized, slurry put out. The drain is connected to a larger river along the field. So here it's very quick. This is like the peat plugs, very quick and easy solution and cost effective. The 2 chambers dug in 15 minutes. The nutrients drop off into one chamber, lie in the bottom, and there's lie at the bottom even when it's flooding. There was a silt fence in place below each chamber, so when the chambers were dug up, this minimizes the risk of water pollution, and wetland vegetation grows over time, and there's no impact on the farming enterprises. So yeah, and that's the example of the non-productive investments. Here on the left we have the concrete crossing for the cattle, and on the right the timber for the sheep. It's very cost effective. And then here we've Bundar and the Tulock Valley, the SSC Commonages, where there was 50 shareholders there. This was a heavily used sheep access point to the lake for sheep for years, and resulted in bare soil and poaching as a result of the sheep. So there was a meeting with the shareholders to bring down this practice, as it was resulting in a poor environmental score. There was a suggestion of a temporary fence erected to block off access and to allow the vegetation to recover. The sheep could still access the lake from behind the fence. However, farmers once a week had to drive up the sheep up mountain to reduce any poaching around the fence. And this, there was a few landowners actively grazing, so they fenced off the access point to the lake, around 10 hectares, and vegetation was covering, and then resulted in a very positive impact, and the score increased, thus their environmental payment increased over time. So all these measures, the CP team here are working here with achieve for the next 5 years to ensure that the farmer, want to work with the farmers, have a voice and make sure they're heard. So I'll leave you on to Mary to finish off.
That's great, Daniel and Aoife, thank you. So just a couple of questions have come in. The closing date, the end of August, or will it be extended? The problem with extending it is you only have a certain amount of time for the species. So I can't say for definite, because that will be obviously a decision for the Department of Agriculture themselves to make. But I would say that you should very much plan for the end of August as a deadline, because there is an awful lot of land to get scored. So I wouldn't be relying on an extension. I would be focusing as much as possible on getting that scored. But like I said, the ultimate decision will be with the department. But from our point of view, as you guys have known from anyone that's worked with us in the freshwater pearl mussel, is you only have that time period to get scored. So I would definitely be planning your workload around that as much as possible. If land is under CP is no longer available to them, can they just continue with general scheme? I will double check that, but as far as I know, yes, they can continue with their actions in the general scheme, but I will confirm that for you, Patricia. And Alan, on the issue in the CARB. So yeah, we are aware that there is farmers that are going to have a lot of productive land within the catchment area. So the focus, like within the non-productive investments, is going to be to make sure that there's actions there that they can draw down as much as possible. There's 52, I think, actions that are being finalised at the minute. They're just going through screening and stuff. That's why it's taken so long. But hopefully in the next maybe 2 months or so, that list will be with you so that you guys can talk that through. And like I said, excuse me, we will hope to have that definitely when we do the farmer information events. We will definitely have that list available then for farmers to kind of go through as well. So that's, yes, we are definitely aware of that. And we know that there is a lot of productive farmers in the area. So there is actions within the non-productive investments that they can, that are focused towards more productive farms as much as possible. So, sorry, there's just another couple of questions coming in. Yes, even if you have done your Wild Atlantic nature training, you will need to do the 1 day course with us. That's just because the scorecards are very different from the Pearl Mussel and Wild Atlantic nature. There's a few different little bits in it. So it would be important that you attend that training. You will need to attend that day. It's just 1 day this time. So it'll be just 1 full day in the field with us, and we'll go through the actions and the scorecards with you. Are stone walls included in NPIs? Yes, as far as I'm aware, there's stone walls in the NPIs. As I said, that list will hopefully be with you in the next couple of months so that you will be aware of exactly what's available to farmers. Will qualified advisors who have completed all the necessary training in an agency be able to score the farmers who are clients of the agency? Yes, as far as I know, Martin, once they're attached to an agency, that you've your FOSS training and your acres approved training done, and you do the training with us, yeah, I couldn't see there being an issue. If there's a particular specific question or query that you have on a certain advisor, and if you want to give me a shout independently on that, there's no issue. But yeah, once they have their acres and their FOSS training with the department, and then they do the field training with us, they can go ahead. So we will, if you have any other questions or you think of any questions this afternoon, just email us and I'll put a list together and put that up. This is just our contact information. We have the website there. So we have now added an advisor and a farmer tab to our website. So this webinar will be available on that, as well as sending it to you guys. Any resources that we have that we think might be valuable to you, we will put it up there. Same with the farmers, we'll put any resources up there for them, and we will have the information events that we're going to be releasing to them. We will have them up there as well, that they can log in to book their place on that through the farmer tab there. We're also on social media. All of the local project officers, all of their details are up on the website if you want to contact them about any specific questions for each of the areas. One of the things as well is that we found in the Pearl Mussel project is we had a WhatsApp group going for advisors. So it's just a kind of a quick way of keeping you updated of deadlines or webinars or things like that. And if you're out in the field and you have a question, you can pop it in there, because there might be 3 or 4 other advisors with the same question that mightn't be comfortable asking it. So it's just, it kind of helps knowledge sharing too when you're out in the field. So it's not compulsory, but if it is something that you would be interested in me setting up a WhatsApp group for you guys, if you just email the info@acreswestcon email with your contact number, so that we can add you to a WhatsApp group. Like I said, we did find it really beneficial in the Pearl Mussel, just rather than sending emails every time there's a deadline or every time there's a little update or something. It's just a handy way of communicating quickly, and for you guys to get us too if there's any questions or anything. So unless anyone has any other questions or anything, I think we can finish up there for today. Like I said, there will be another webinar we hope to run the end of April. So if there's anything specific that you would like covered there in more detail, please let us know and we're happy to do that. Please keep in contact with us if there's any questions. We're here to support you guys as much as the farmers. So yeah, we're here, I suppose, and use us as a resource if you need anything. So thank you very much for your attendance, guys. Like I said, anything you need, just let us know and we will talk to you all very soon.